if we mature intellectually, and better yet, if we mature morally, and if we mature spiritually, this concept of Iman becomes, clearer and clearer, and more of a personal, emotional experience than simply an intellectual one. And it's very important to develop that. So those young people had an Iman, had a faith that was truly in their hearts. It transformed them. It made them very beautiful human beings, very beautiful young human beings. Because that Iman internally transformed their character. They had a beautiful character. So that's why it was not an accident that Allah used the word in the Quran as fitya, as fityatun amanu bi rabbihim, not shubbanun, for example. Because there are many words in Arabic to say young and youth. But he used the word fitya, the plural of fata. And fata in the Arabic language not only means youth, a young person, but it means a chivalrous person. Chivalry? The concept of chivalry? Chevaleresque in French. Futuwa, do you know what that concept is? Young people? You know what chivalrous is? Chivalrous, no? Who knows? You do? Yes, what is it? I can't hear you. Of good status, of good rank, okay, what else? Yes? Acting as if in? A knight. Yeah, they learned that from us. Yes. That's in the meaning of knight, i.e. a person who is brave, courageous, of beautiful character. Not only brave and courageous and forward-going, but also noble, benevolent, kind, generous, forgiving, not in his ability to also fight, is not someone rude, is not somewhat excessive, but forgives and very patient and pardons, very noble of character. So Allah Azza wa Jal describes these young people with the word fitya to indicate to us the concept of beautiful character. They were young people with Iman, and that Iman was coupled with beautiful character. Beautiful character. So we live in a time now, and sometimes some of us live in environments and circumstances which do not encourage us to be chivalrous, right? But instead to be, violent, to be excessive, to be consumerist, to think only of yourself, to eat a lot, to play a lot, to be unmindful of the feelings of others, to be unkind, to be demanding, to be selfish. And these are not the characteristic of a fata. Allah calls those young people fitya because they were very beautiful of character. And Islam wants us to be educated and to grow and to be raised in ways that would contribute to make us fitya, to have us be adorned with the characteristics of a knight in the sense we're expressing. Is that interesting to young people nowadays? Do you like to be a fata? Have you heard of this concept before? So what do you think? What if I said, okay, let's play a basketball game now? Oh yes, let's go. Everybody would like to do that? But what if, let's learn how to be chivalrous, how to be fata even in playing basketball. How would you play basketball while still preserving qualities of futuwa, of, chivalry? by not being loud, by not being excessive, by not being ostentatious, conceited, by being kind. Yet you can play, but still keep the value of chivalry, of futuwah, because that's our deen. And this is one of the characteristics we have lost in our lives. And it starts when we are younger and we grow up with that. So Allah mentions these young people whom He has immortalized, subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the Quran, and He calls those youth fitya, so that you and I, young people and parents, learn to grow as fityan of Islam, the knights, the chivalrous youth of Islam, of character. Now imagine Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam speaking to a young person. And I'm going to give you two examples in which he addresses young people. I think that nowadays we address very mature, if we are very mature adults, of age and of intellect perhaps, and of spiritual dimension. We address them that way. No, he was addressing a young boy. Anas radiallahu ta'ala. Anybody knows Anas ibn Malik? Who knows Anas ibn Malik? Raise your hands. Good. Now raise your hands. Keep raising your hand. Let's see how many. Good. Not many. So Anas ibn Malik is a companion of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When he was less than 8 years of age, his mother, she was, I think, very smart and very spiritually smart, because she decided, a mother, a loving mother, she decided to give her child for the full everyday and night service of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Imagine that. You would say, how could she do that? She was very smart. She gave him up to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to be in his company and to grow to become fata in the company of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. She made a great sacrifice, but she gained everything with that sacrifice for herself in Jannah and for her child, radiallahu ta'ala, to become one of the most special companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, imagine this young boy. When Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam died, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Anas was something no more than 10 years of age, perhaps. So he was serving him before that. And imagine Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam speaking to a young boy. Maybe when he told him these words, he was surely less than 10, maybe 6, 7, 8. Who is 7 years of age? Raise your hand. Nobody is 7? You're not 7? You're 9. Oh, excuse me. Okay, who is 8? Okay, who is 9? Everybody is older than 9? Oh, you look all very young. Who is 10? Okay. Who is above 10? Okay. Me too. MashaAllah, all right. So, well, imagine, so if you're above 10, you're 9, you're 10. Now imagine Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam speaking to a boy younger than you are, most of you, almost your age and almost your age. What he tells him is like, subhanallah, subhanallah. In this he tells him, Ya bunay, oh my dear son. He addresses him like, my son, oh my dear son, Ya bunay, إن استطعت أو إن قدرت أن تصبح وليس في قلبك غش أو غل لأحد فافعل فإن ذلك من سنتي. I mean, look, a 10-year, a 7 or 8, look at this education, look at this philosophy of education, of moral, spiritual, profound education. He talks to a child, and imagine this. Now you have got to listen. Imagine him telling you this. And he says, oh my dear son, if you're able to wake every morning, imagine me telling you this, Rasulullah SAW telling it to a young boy. I learned from that, so I feel like I'm so immature, And he says that to a young boy. Oh my son, if you're able to wake up every morning while in your heart, speaking to him about his heart, while in your heart there is no ill feeling for anyone. Ish. There is no ill feeling for anyone. He says, do that. And he says to him, oh my son, that's of my sunnah. Have you ever heard of the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is sunnah of your heart, of your character? When we speak of sunnah, usually we think of what first? Now? Yes, young. Physical actions, the way he stood up, the way he prayed, the way he did this, external things. Most of the time, this is sunnah, this is sunnah, this is sunnah. But perhaps even adults amongst us, and even sometimes learned people amongst us, we don't think of the sunnah of the hearts. So he says to him, imagine that. 10-year-old, 9-year-old, 11, 12, let alone ourselves, we need that too, more than perhaps you do. Can you wake up every morning with all the problems in your life? But he's preparing him to grow as a fata, preparing him before he gets to that point. Before he gets to that point, we need to be equipped before we're faced with the challenge. Not at the challenge we look, where's the equipment? It's too late sometimes. Before the challenge, we must be equipped. So he tells that to him at 7 or 8 or so, that it means you're going to grow up, you're going to face challenges, you're going to have people hurting you, hating you, doing this to you, facing challenges as a Muslim, amongst Muslims even. But if you're able to every morning wake up while in your heart there is no ill feeling to anyone, then do that. If you do that, then you are following my sunnah. That's preparing for knighthood. That's preparing for futuwah, for character. And then he tells him, Ya bunay, وَمَنْ أَحْيَا سُنَّتِي فَقَدْ أَحَبَّنِي وَمَنْ أَحَبَّنِي كَانَ مَعِي فِي الْجَنَّةِ. He speaks to a young boy like that, to youth. And he says to him, oh my son, and anyone who resuscitates, gives back life to a sunnah of mine that was caused to die, has loved me. And if you love me, you will be with me in paradise. Isn't it beautiful? Young man with a beard. There are young men without beards. Isn't it beautiful? Subhanallah. Talk to his son and see what to make out of this. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam spoke to a young boy with these words. This is how we prepare ourselves first, and we prepare the future fityan of Islam, the future chivalrous young and youth of Islam, my dear brothers and sisters. Yeah. And it's not just one incident, many incidents like that in which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam addressed young people, youth, with values and virtues. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam didn't play basketball with youth. I'm not saying it's wrong to play basketball. He didn't play, with children. Playing is part of being a child. He didn't do that. Because that's a stage that we have to grow out of it. It's a transient stage. We should not be professional players. Forgive my... we're not meant to be professional players. To play is a transitional realm of our lives. To grow to something much more important. Some of us never graduate from life, from the school of life. We stay only at the same levels. But this deen, this beautiful deen of ours, wants us to graduate at all levels of life, higher and higher and higher. Sometimes a means is used to go to the next level, but once we're in that level, now that means is gone. We cannot go back to it. It's not an end. And we go to the next level and the next level. This life for us is a field of growth. We should always grow and grow and grow until hopefully when we have to leave this world, we leave this world in which state of growth? Now the adults or the smart young people can tell me. In which state or condition would you like to leave this world of your growth? More than that. Now that's growth. More than that. Acceptability is the first least level. Which state? See, these we should remember in our lives. Our lives should be so coupled with these things that we should feel that immediately. Because I'm asking you, what is your aim in this life? When you die, in which state would you like to die? You will die, no doubt. We will. Everybody will. And we don't want to forget that. Some of us want to forget that. No, we don't want to forget that. Because it's about Jannah. It's about divine company. So the state in which I want to live this dunya is the state of ihsan, isn't it? Right? The state of ihsan. And what is ihsan? Is to live my life internally, emotionally, and intellectually, and therefore externally, as though I see God. No, I've seen God. Imagine with your... This is where you end. And ta'bud Allah ka'annaka tarah. This is the maqam of ihsan. To keep growing and growing and growing until I reach that level. Not to use the means and then stick with those means until I die. The means are means to an end. And then when I reach the next level, I use different means to a higher end. وهكذا. I cannot be always loving to play like a child who is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. Once you're 9, you even play differently, isn't it? Now, I'm not a little boy anymore. You say, right? I'm going to choose a different game. And then when you're 15, you say, I'm 15. I'm not going to play like a 7-year-old boy. Nobody's 7 years, so I can say that. I'm not going to do that. Right? And then when you're 21, I'm 21, I'm not 15. So let's act that way. And so it is also at the level of morality and spirituality and intellect and so on. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants our youth, wants us, we all have been youth, to grow and to mature and to be happy in the noblest sense of happiness. So he used to say that to many young people. He says once to Abdullah ibn Umar and sometimes to Abdullah ibn Abbas when they were young boys. One time one of them, I think Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Abbas, was riding on the camel behind him. And a young boy. And then he takes this young boy, this nasiha which we repeat usually in masajid and in grand seminars and conferences while it was said to a young boy. Subhanallah, ya bunay, ihfadillah yahfadhuk. Ihfadillah yahfadhuk. Oh my son, he tells him, guard Allah in you, He will guard you. Does it make sense to you? I'm glad. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. my son, guard Allah in you, and Allah will guard you. احفظ الله يحفظك. And he continues to tell him, even he says him to this, وَإِذَا سَأَلْتَ فَاسْأَلِ اللَّهِ. SubhanAllah. If you ask for anything, ask from Allah alone. Look what he teaches him, these values of chivalry. Don't ask from anybody anything except from Allah Azza wa Jal. It doesn't mean that you can't ask from your father or mother, but he's preparing him for something very special in the future of nobility and of independence of his heart from anything else except Allah Azza wa Jal. وَإِذَا سَأَلْتَ فَاسْأَلِ اللَّهِ, and so on and so forth, of the beautiful things he taught him as a young youth boy, emphasizing these things, because you don't have to teach a child to play. A child naturally will play. You don't have to enforce that. That's part of to be a sabi, a sabwa, the flooding of things, of talking, of motion, of playing, of kada. It has to. Allah created human beings when they are young to move and to play, because that's the way also they build their muscles and they grow physically. So they will. But instead we should also originally and early on plan to balance that with their moral and spiritual and intellectual well-being as well, inshallah ta'ala. And this is what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did with many of the youth, and with the youth, as some of the examples I mentioned to you. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us, help our children, help our youth, inshallah ta'ala, grow to be beautiful human beings, happy in this world, in the beautiful sense of happiness, and free in this world, in the beautiful sense of freedom, and most importantly, in akhirah, in the hereafter, be eternally in happiness with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forever, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika.